Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a creative professional, an entrepreneur, or just someone pouring their heart into big ideas, you probably know a very specific, incredibly frustrating feeling. Today, we're taking a calming, therapeutic journey into your mind to figure out a truly painful paradox: why we absolutely freeze up when a high-stakes launch or a major creative project matters the most. I mean, you've got the ideas, you've got the ambition, but right when it's time to actually hit publish or send that pitch, everything just stops. Let's dive in and figure out why this happens, and more importantly, how we can actually fix it.
So why does this happen? It's kind of the million-dollar question, isn't it? You genuinely want to move forward, but suddenly you just feel foggy, exhausted, and totally overwhelmed. You're sitting there staring at a blank screen, hesitating, and probably beating yourself up thinking, I'm just lazy, or I have zero discipline. You tell yourself you'll just tackle it tomorrow when you're feeling a bit more motivated. But as we're going to see today, this whole situation, it actually has nothing to do with time management or laziness. Literally nothing at all.
The real answer comes to us through a super fascinating framework from clinical hypnotherapist Mariana Dalic. She explains that what we're so quick to write off as laziness is, in reality, your nervous system desperately trying to keep you safe. Think about that for a second. Procrastination is actually an emotional regulation issue. The task itself usually isn't the problem. It's what that task emotionally represents to you that sets off an automatic defense mechanism in your brain.
And this perfectly highlights the core conflict every single ambitious entrepreneur faces. It's like a tug of war inside your head. Your conscious mind wants success, right? It wants growth, it wants that launch to be a total knockout, but your subconscious mind? It's actually not wired for achievement at all. It's designed entirely for protection and keeping things familiar. So while you're consciously thinking, come on, I just need to get this done, your subconscious is quietly running in the background, interpreting that exact same task as, whoa, this feels emotionally unsafe.
This brings us to a massive realization. The subconscious mind will always prioritize emotional safety over productivity, every single time. Whenever you start moving toward a huge goal, your subconscious automatically starts evaluating the situation. It's rapidly asking questions like, could this lead to pain? Could I be embarrassed? Is this going to change how my peers see me? And if it senses even a hint of emotional danger, it completely overrides your conscious desire to grow. It honestly doesn't care about your goals. If hiding feels safer than being exposed, your subconscious is absolutely going to force you to avoid the work.
Because of this deep-seated protective instinct, your ambition is actually what's triggering a massive avoidance response. It's a crazy irony, but highly creative and intelligent people actually tend to procrastinate more because they overanalyze all the possible outcomes and tie their self-worth directly to their work. This brings up some major hidden emotional triggers. For a lot of creatives, the fear of visibility is a huge one. Putting your baby out into the world means you're exposed and vulnerable. And fear of success? Yeah, that's a real thing too. Success brings way more pressure and responsibility. Plus, sometimes your nervous system is just flat out exhausted from modern life, and what looks like procrastination is really just total burnout.
You know, we usually think of procrastination as just sitting around doing nothing. But psychologically speaking, you are actively working to escape discomfort. You might find yourself doom scrolling, binging productivity hacks on YouTube, or suddenly deciding that, yes, your spice rack must be perfectly alphabetized right this very second. By doing these random things, you're giving your brain temporary neurological relief from the crushing tension of your big launch. But here's the catch. You're basically training your brain to repeat this exact avoidance loop the next time things get hard.
Okay, so how do we actually break this cycle? Well, here's a little mini exercise you can try right now, or definitely the next time you feel that urge to run away from your desk. First, just pause and label what you're feeling physically. Notice if your chest feels tight or if your brain feels foggy. Then ask yourself this one guiding question. What does completing this task emotionally represent for me? This is how you unearth those hidden triggers. You might suddenly realize, oh wow, finishing this project means people can finally judge it. Or maybe that actually succeeding feels super unfamiliar and scary.
Once you realize that, it completely exposes why traditional productivity advice is pretty much useless here. When we get stuck, our first instinct is usually to just try harder, right? We apply stricter discipline, build more rigid schedules, and use brute conscious force. But trying to solve a subconscious emotional block by just white-knuckling it, it's exhausting and it just doesn't work long-term. The resistance is always going to come back because your nervous system still thinks the task is a literal threat. We have to pivot. We need to start working with our minds by prioritizing emotional safety instead of just pure grit.
So instead of forcing it, we can lean into a more therapeutic step-by-step process to shift from avoidance into conscious engagement. Step 1 is absolutely crucial, and it might sound counterintuitive. Stop waiting for motivation. Seriously, one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we need to feel motivated to start. Actually, motivation follows action. Just taking a tiny step reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is exactly what's freaking your nervous system out. The goal isn't to feel 100% ready. The goal is literally just to begin.
And the easiest way to begin? You've got to make the tasks smaller than your resistance. You can totally bypass those subconscious alarm bells by shrinking the work all the way down. Don't tell yourself you have to finish the entire launch today. Tell your brain you only need to work for 10 manageable minutes. That's it. Write a single paragraph, draft one email, or just jot down some bullet points. By committing to just 10 minutes, you are essentially whispering to your nervous system, hey, we're safe. And that dissolves the resistance way faster than hours of endless planning.
Now, because a dysregulated nervous system really struggles to hold focus, you have to actively create that internal feeling of safety. I highly recommend weaving these 3 micro habits into your routine before you even try to tackle big tasks. First off, prioritize your deep sleep and recovery. You can't run on fumes. Second, aggressively cut down on daily digital input, like leave your phone in another room entirely. And third, calm the mental chatter through simple internal safety practices. Take some deep breaths, go for a quick walk. When your body feels safe, your focus naturally returns.
Here's a mantra I want every ambitious creator to internalize. Done imperfectly is infinitely more powerful than endlessly delayed perfection. Perfectionism is a trap. It causes total emotional paralysis because your subconscious starts linking taking action with crushing, impossible pressure. By giving yourself permission to take messy, small, imperfect steps, your subconscious actually learns that it's safe to do the work. You're effectively swapping out harsh self-criticism for some much-needed self-compassion. And remember, taking action builds momentum. Momentum builds your identity. And that new identity is what creates real consistency.
This is a beautiful truth that comes up all the time in clinical hypnotherapy. Logic alone isn't going to cure your procrastination because the emotional roots go way too deep. But when you start addressing these common fears, whether it's the fear of visibility or the fear of failing, through a calming, compassionate lens, everything changes. You start melting away that subconscious emotional resistance. And once your nervous system stops seeing your own growth as a threat, sitting down to do the work becomes lighter, way more natural, and so much less emotionally exhausting.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on the next time you're facing a high-stakes project. If you keep finding yourself procrastinating despite putting in all that white-knuckling effort, it doesn't mean you need more discipline. It really doesn't. Stop punishing yourself for being lazy and start getting curious about what part of you just needs to feel safe so you can create. How are you going to show yourself some grace and work with your mind today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope this helps you unlock your real creative flow.